Why didn't we have a Honeybadger feed?
I know.
Because Honeybadger don't care.
They've been in business for 7 years, and they still don't know what they're doing. I guess a podcast seemed natural. Here's FounderQuest.
This is just why I know that whatever happens in November, it's just going to get crazier. It's no matter what.
I do feel like more and more I feel like I'm inside of a cyberpunk novel. Like not really a William Gibson sort of like Chiba City going to get your like BioWare implanted or whatever, but more of a Neil Stephenson like Snow Crash type of situation where you have to. Everybody lives in gated communities, and like the gated communities are owned by the different franchises. So you live in like the KFC gated community, and and you sort of worship the kernel and all that.
Or you live in like a super PAC community. Yeah. Yeah,
exactly.
Where they have like your videos playing on billboards for everyone who drives by.
Exactly. And like the hero of the story is just as like this girl trying to just deliver some pizzas like through this wasteland of a country.
Okay, this really is just Snow Crash, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. The only difference is like the way the internet's played out is that we have a lot less sword fights.
Right.
Like I don't really just interact with. I don't like go online and just find myself in a CD bar with my samurai sword.
You got to give VR a chance to develop, because you never, there might be more sword fights in the future.
As long as you don't mind having a Facebook account, since now apparently that's a requirement for Oculus.
Facebook sword.
Well, yeah. You saw that news about Oculus. They're now.
I did.
Yeah. I had a friend of mine here in Seattle. I said, okay, well, I've got an Oculus for sale if anybody wants it.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah. I would not have bought an Oculus after Facebook acquired them. Maybe for that not necessarily for that specific reason, but I mean, that's as good a reason as any.
And that was prescient.
Like, obviously they're going to do something with it in their interest.
Obviously.
Yeah, my house is too small too. I just like break everything. It seems like you need a fair amount of like free space to have some sort of VR setup.
Yeah.
Or you can, gesticulate and not like destroy priceless family artifacts.
Yeah, I don't even know. Like I tried one of the very early ones and it was like that, but I'm not sure how far they've come since then.
I don't know. Eventually they'll refine it to the point where, like, instead of having to gesture around, you just have this little device that you hold in your hands, and you can just move your fingers small distances.
Yeah, I see where you're going with that.
Well, in non-VR gaming news, Microsoft Flight Simulator was released this week.
Is that what I saw? Something that looked a lot like that, and then like the page refreshed and it went away. I was, for a split second, I was like, "Holy crap! Is that Flight Simulator?"
It is. Yeah. Yeah,
cool.
Did y'all hear about the OpenStreetmap thing with that? Okay, this is great. I actually didn't realize that it was just released, but I read about this glitch. So there's OpenStreetmap, right? I'm getting the name right? Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. OpenStreetmap is like people's like open source version of sort of Google Maps. So you can go and get these maps and do whatever you want with them. So it's maintained like Wikipedia, by an army of volunteers. And I guess somebody in, I think, Melbourne made a typo. And instead of like listing a building as 3 stories, they listed it as something like 3,000 stories. And so Microsoft, when they were developing the flight simulator, they went and got the OpenStreetMap data, and they didn't scrub it or anything. And so if you're flying in Melbourne, it's Melbourne, and then this one really narrow building that goes up just like a giant sort of monolith in the sky.
That's amazing.
And there's all these like pictures on Twitter of people like flying around it, being like, "What is this?"
That's great.
It's just a glitch in the data.
Yeah.
Wow. So this is because Microsoft, like, I mean, if this would never happen to Google Flight Simulator, I feel like they don't use OpenStreetMap, do they? They've got Google cars.
Yeah, but the problem with Google Flight Simulator would be that in 3 years they would trash it. They would end it. Right.
Because no one would play it. Or not enough people would play it. Like 500,000 people would play it, but they'd be like, we need like 500 million people to play this.
Exactly.
if it's going to be
Exactly.
Yeah,
that's been in the news recently too. Like Google Cloud, Steve, I don't know how you pronounce his last name, Yegi, maybe, had this blog post about how just Google deprecates so much all the time that like, why would you even build on it? And it's notable because Steve is an ex-Googler and not just a luminary in the field in general, but having worked there, he was pretty annoyed that he'd have to rebuild all of his stuff every few years just because Google likes to turn things off. So
yeah, it's not a great policy.
That's definitely a consideration that we had when we were the shopping around for hosting, comparing AWS versus Google. That wasn't the primary consideration, but that was an issue. My primary consideration was it's really easy, apparently, to get your Google Cloud account shut off and hard to get it returned back on. So that
really?
made me pretty skittish. Yeah.
Like based on complaints of third parties or what?
No, based on like automated algorithms at Google for detecting abuse.
Wow.
Oh,
nice.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a good selling point. Like,
great.
my
Yeah.
platform is so free of abuse that you can't even use it.
So yeah, there've been a variety of Hacker News posts about people.
Whereas Amazon just bills you for the abuse.
Exactly. Amazon said just pay us. We'll be fine.
Yeah. Pay us with that Bitcoin money that you're mining.
Exactly.
Wow.
Anyway, so I think not a good idea to play Google Flight Simulator because like halfway through your flight, they'll just turn it off.
Just like in the middle of the.
Well, I don't know. They might keep it around because they gotta train those self-flying planes.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, that makes me think though. What would be really hard? So it'd be Google Airlines. Like, would you really want to fly in that airline? Because who knows?
Yeah.
They might cancel it like while you're up in the air.
Do they have the courtesy of at least like calling you from the Google control tower and like telling you like we're shutting down this product? Prepare for landing, or is it just like lights out?
Well, the reason that we don't really have much of we're just kind of rambling is because I went on sort of an impromptu vacation. My partner Evie was just, quarantine and everything. We've been, both working kind of, we've been trying to stretch a normal life into like a more short amount of time. And because of childcare and all that. And she was just like, we need a vacation. I'm booking a place. Okay. I booked it. And so I'm just like, okay. But she was totally right. It was a great thing.
Yeah. How was it?
It was wonderful. We went to a little town called Shelton. We're actually outside of the town. It's let's see, I don't know. It's some direction in relation to Olympia. It's like you get to Olympia and you turn right, whatever direction that is.
Okay.
So I guess that would be west of Olympia. And there's a bunch of these little inlets from the sound. And so the tide comes in and goes out. And it's called Shelton because lots of shellfish grow there. And so you can go and like dig them up and everything, which they did. And then we cooked them. And then we're like, should we be eating these? Are these going to murder? Are these going to like kill us and poison us? And they didn't. So that was a good thing. But all in all, it was very nice. It was very nice.
Cool. You feel refreshed?
I do feel refreshed. I'm wearing a colorful shirt, which you can tell. And while I was gone, the summer went away. When I left, it was like, in the 90s or whatever. And, I get back and it's 70 all day. So I can live with that.
So the colorful shirt thing, like, for some reason, when I put on because I always wear, my uniform is like a black t-shirt, but you might not know this, but when I like go on vacation, I'll put on a colorful shirt just to signify that I'm on vacation. And it like makes me feel a lot better. It makes me feel more like I'm on vacation now. Well, I don't know if you have the same experience.
How colorful are we talking? Are we like, stripes like rugby shirt or like Hawaiian shirt?
Oh, like full on Hawaiian. No.
All right.
No, I not Hawaiian. Just like, maybe like a blue t-shirt or something.
All right.
No, actually, like my Elixir Conf t-shirt, which was like bright. No, it's not even red. It's like, I don't know. It's very bright for a conference shirt. Yeah.
It's kind of I
have a very interesting wardrobe is what I'm trying to tell you. There's a lot of variety in it.
You can't wear those. You can't wear
t-shirts. It's black t-shirts and conference t-shirts.
You can't wear the Hawaiian shirts, out because people think you're a CIA agent.
Yeah, I could definitely pull off the Hawaiian shirt, I think. I should
you totally could.
I should get I should get a few of those.
Get some aviators.
Mm-hmm.
A nice, turn your baseball cap around the other way, per regulation.
Yeah.
So Hook Relay is coming along nicely.
It is.
Oh yeah. Tell us about that.
I'm excited.
So Josh has been digging in lately, and it was funny. We had a product meeting a couple weeks ago, and we're planning out what Josh and Kevin and I were all going to do, what our assignments were, and I think Josh nervously asked something about tests because Josh loves tests, and Kevin and I are, not quite as big fans of writing tests as Josh is. And so Kevin and I both chuckled and we're like, oh yeah, Josh, that's your job. so Josh started diving in and writing some tests, and it's been great. But it was really good because Josh hasn't been working on Hook Relay until this past week or two. And so he had to do all the typical developer startup things, like, oh, how do I get set up with a database, and how do I connect to that? And it made me realize, in much shame, how little I had actually documented about getting set up and getting everything going. And Kevin had learned along the way, but Josh was like, I don't know what's going on here. And I'm like, oh yeah, there's no documentation for that. Sorry.
There is now though.
But yes, thanks.
Because Josh also loves documentation.
Yeah. So thank you, Josh, for helping us out there.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah. Well, I think that's always a good. I always you should probably write your documentation as you're building things. But I think there is some benefit for having a new developer that's onboarding write the documentation, because it's coming from their perspective, and you might get setup steps that are not something that you would think of that would save someone a lot of time. That's not didn't start from scratch with the app or whatever.
Right. Yeah, for sure. When you do that, you discover just how much context is in your head, even on a new project. It's like, oh, there's this thing and that thing and this other thing. And yeah, I had forgotten all that stuff because I've been, in it for so long. And it's useful to have that fresh perspective come in. But Josh is tearing it up. He's added a bunch of onboarding stuff, which has been great. Kevin has been focused on the UI. I've been focused on the API, and Josh has been focused on, hey, can we actually make this usable for our customers?
Well, and and how do they learn how to use it when they first, exactly. They just, sign up and land on the dashboard or whatever. So we've been trying to come up with some ideas for things we could show them. What's the first thing they see? What's the first thing you see when you sign up for something? Because there's a lot of options.
I think having our years of experience learning with Honeybadger has really helped accelerate what we're doing here, because it's we should do this onboarding survey thing, and we should do this tour thing. And
I had the same thought. I thought about that this week as I was building this. I think we're going to go with there's going to be we don't want to put too much between the user, between signing up and actually getting to work, doing something in the app. But I think we are going to try showing just a simple welcome screen, and maybe have a video or something. By the way, I need to get you to record a video, Ben, because it's your app. So I think it should be your face. But just saying hello, and then we are going to have a introduction, an optional introduction box where people can either say hello to us or tell us where they why they're signing up, which is something we did for Honeybadger after a long time, and it's worked out really well. I would say we get a lot of interesting feedback from that little hey, where are you coming from today? People fill it out and we get some interesting responses sometimes. For instance,
I can see that being even more useful for a new product when you're sort of really, you really are sort of steering direction based on user feedback.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it'll be interesting depending on where we get our initial, I don't know. We don't know yet how the launch, where people will be coming from with the launch. I assume people will be coming from our Honeybadger channels and FounderQuest and stuff. But I don't know. This is a totally different product for us. So it appeals to a totally different, a lot more people. So I don't know. We could get featured on we could be front page of Hacker News with our show HN Post, and then get a bunch of Hacker News people commenting I don't know if I want to see those introductions.
Oh my God.
But those would be a little different.
I haven't been on Hacker News in so long.
Yeah. I don't. I check it out occasionally, but you read it, don't you, Ben?
Yeah, I have an RSS feed specifically for show Hacker News because I love seeing all the new stuff coming in. And
that's a good idea.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun to see what's going on out there.
Yeah. What my thought this week was like yours, it's just all of these things that I kind of like knew to do. I was thinking like back, like what would I be doing if I was like, if this was like if we were back like whatever, 10 years ago building this, and this was my first app. And I'm like, I would be doing none of this. Like we would have just launched it as like you built it, which is fine. Like, I mean, it's a good app and it works, but like, there's none of the things we've learned over time of like how to like teach the user slowly how to use the app, like introduce them and then kind of shepherd them along. It would just be like dump them into a dashboard. And I thought it was kind of cool.
This is really interesting to me because it seems like it's kind of an evolution of the thinking that was like, I mean, when we first built Honeybadger, like we did do that. Like you signed up and you got sort of dumped onto an empty project page, or maybe you got dumped into some setup instructions, but it was very, very minimal. And that was kind of in line with the times, right? There was this whole like MVP thing, right? You just like build like the least amount of stuff you can possibly build and then ship it. And since then, a lot of people did that. And I guess, I don't know, it seems like a lot of those things were kind of bad, or not necessarily bad, but just, it seems like people expect a lot more out of an app these days. They expect it to be a lot more friendly. They don't really want to immediately log on and see just nothing, or just have to sort of figure it out themselves.
I'd say the bar has been raised. Like people are definitely expecting more now.
Yeah, I kind of feel like it's a pendulum. Like before the whole MVP thing, like the idea was, well, it's got to be perfect. Well, because you're shipping oftentimes a golden master CD, right? So it has to be perfect when it's going out the door. But even web developers felt that way. It's like, oh, it's got to be pristine. It's got to be just exact. And then, the whole MVP thing came, and developers like, oh, we can throw away all that idea and just throw out the basic minimum app that people can use. And then I feel like, it's swinging back towards let's give our new users a little more of a polished experience. Let's not just give them the little scooter. Let's give them a moped instead, or something a little more developed.
You can kind of like see the difference in how long it took us to replace the font awesome icon as a logo with a real logo.
Because we did start with the font awesome icon, staying true to ourselves, but then with Honeybadger we had that for like at least a year. We printed shirts with the font awesome icon on it. Right. Those were our very first shirts.
Yeah, and this time we actually have a custom logo that we had designed. Yeah. Of course, this time we have a little more in the way of resources than we had when we launched.
That's true. That's true.
So that doesn't make a difference. We can afford that logo design, whereas last time we really couldn't.
Yeah.
That's true. Well, I'm excited to see how this develops. Yeah. And I'm excited to like get back to work on the static site. I keep being like, oh yeah, I'm going to work on this. And then it's like, okay, I'm going to be gone for a week. Okay. Coming back. I'm really going to do this time. Then it's like, okay, surprise. No, I've
been in the same boat though. It's okay. This year has been a bit of a struggle to meet deadlines.
I've been following your work star on the static site, and it's looking great. Like the documentation stubs that you have.
I gotta go check that out.
Are fantastic. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's gonna look really good. Cool. Yeah, I think on launch day it's gonna be looking a lot nicer than the Honeybadger did on launch day for sure.
Nice.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
So one of the things I've been thinking about this week that's really got me kind of excited is just one of these little features that I want to have in Hook Relay, which is to be able to send notifications about the success and about the failure of deliveries to Slack. And, we have a lot of integrations in Honeybadger, like sending notifications to Slack or to Jira or email or you name it. We've got a ton of them. And I wanted to take a fresh approach to that in Hook Relay because we've had some pain points in Honeybadger with that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I realized as I was thinking about this, it's like, you know what? We could use Hook Relay for sending these notifications. Like the payload just needs a little bit of massaging from one JSON format to another JSON format so that it'll work well in Slack. Only there were
a product who could do this.
Yeah.
that could do this.
Just so it happens, we built this product that takes webhooks from one JSON format to another format. And so, haven't written the code yet, but I'm just excited about this idea that we can plug in a Slack notification or any other kind of thing that takes a webhook, and we can easily support that in Hook Relay.
So you can actually you can transform payloads in Hook Relay?
Yes.
Yeah, I was. Is this like? Is this hinting at our secret evil genius plan to introduce like serious transformations to these to payloads?
Yeah. So like JMES path is what we're using today. It's a well-known trend. It's like XSLT but for JSON. Right? You can take incoming JSON payload and you can spit out a different output kind of JSON payload based on this transformation language.
I hope it's not too much like XSLT.
So it's pretty cool in that you can easily massage a payload. And we're using that in Honeybadger to send custom payloads to PagerDuty, for example, like because they don't want as much data as maybe some of the other integrations that we support. But exposing this to Hook Relay customers is, I think, going to be pretty awesome because they can say, oh, well, take this. Maybe I have a webhook coming in from GitHub and I want to send it over to Slack, whatever. And I can like select just the fields that I want and put them in new fields. And it's going to be super awesome.
I'm excited about this. Back on the onboarding side of this, I was thinking about that this week because like there's certain aspects of Hook Relay which are like just dead simple. Like you basically put it in between your webhook and the user, and it gives you all this cool stuff for free, basically. But then you have in that regard, it's like it's way simpler to get started with. I feel almost than Honeybadger, even for example, because you don't have to like integrate it into your application beyond just like sending a single. You're sending the same. You'd be sending a post anyway, like a request anyway somewhere. So that's easy to explain, fairly easy to explain. But then you get like something like JMES path, which is like, it's like, basically like a custom programming language for like transforming JSON data. And that is like the opposite. That's like a like a power tool or something like. So I'm looking forward to like figuring out how to cause you can't just like drop that on someone. Like you can't just like teach someone JMES path, like, and I'm getting that acronym right.
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You can't just like teach them that, like, on that first screen when they sign up, like, here, learn this like this transformation language that you've never heard about before. And that's something with like, user onboarding and just even like life cycle that you need to think about. Like, how do you gradually like level someone up in this, like in the ability to use your product effectively? And there's opportunity there actually like to teach people, like our customers who are developers, like teach them skills that they didn't know before that will be useful elsewhere. Because if you learn JMES path with Hook Relay, I mean, you could use it. I mean, it's an open source tool, so you could use this in your own products or whatever. And it's something I had never heard of until we started using it in Honeybadger, and you introduced me to it, Ben. So I think that's kind of cool to have things like that built in that are like super technical and powerful, but you basically need to teach people how to use it to effectively.
I'm wondering like what approach we would need to take to support that, right? Because like I imagine that like if people get really into the weeds on that, then they might email us and be like, hey, this isn't working. And in fact, like their problem is that they have some syntax error in some.
Oh yeah. Oh, you mean like from like help desk support? Like how?
From help desk support. Right, yeah. So it might be good from the outset to sort of set a position on that. just be like, because
we learned this is something else we learned with Honeybadger. Yeah.
If you let them, like people will have you, I don't know, like SSH into their machine and do like a day's worth of work for them. Like, so yeah, which you can't do if you're selling something for $30 a month or whatever.
Yeah.
Or for free.
That's a really good point, Star.
Maybe we have a policy where we're just like, okay, you're using this thing. Like we know it works on our end. If we have any inclination or any idea that it's like an actual problem on our end, we will fix it. But if it's like debugging your JMES path code or whatever, that's on you. Here's some books.
Yeah, that's a good point. I know. So what we've done so far is we do some upfront validation on the syntax that they use. We try it out right when they configure it so that they know right away, as opposed to having to wait and discover, oh, wait, why are my payloads not, shaping up the way that I thought they should?
Oh, that's smart.
And then Also linking to the documentation for the JMS Path website, where they actually have an online evaluator. So you can put in some payload and you can put in a query, and it will try and evaluate that for you. So we could pull that into Hook Relay's UI, right there. And that would be kind of cool. But we haven't done that yet.
That would be cool. Yeah. Well, we can add those, like those are nice finishing touches we could add after we see how people respond to it and use it and everything. And I don't know, who knows, maybe we'll be adding a JavaScript transformation feature at some point. That would always be cool. You could write your transformations in JavaScript.
But the early responses from our alpha testers have been really good. They love it. One person said, this is something that I've been wished existed for a long time now. So that was great to hear.
Yeah. Awesome. That'll be on the homepage, right? On the the sales page. One thing that was kind of interesting this week that Ben and I discussion we got into a little bit on Basecamp, and this might be a larger topic that we could talk about on a future episode or something, but just was like positioning with Hook Relay, because we have all these really cool things that it could do and ideas, like things we want it to do that we know there's reasons we want it to do this because it'll do this for us, which is primarily why we're building it. But then we keep thinking of these other things that it, use cases that it could handle basically. Whereas I think when it first started, it was really just about improving the quality of webhook delivery. Am I getting that right, Ben? I don't think we were thinking in the back of our head, we had been talking about products that do some of these more advanced, pipeline style transformations and things like that. But that's not really what we had in mind initially anyway. But those types of, these more advanced use cases fit nicely into what the product already does, which is great. But at the same time, it doesn't necessarily fit in someone's mind, in the same location that just webhooks do, if that makes sense. Which comes down to, that comes back to positioning. So even though the product maybe it can do 3 really amazing, awesome things that different people want, it's not, you need to figure out how are you going to actually tell people what it is? Because you have to start somewhere. If there's there's a competitive landscape for everything. So you have to look at what other people, what are other people, how are they presenting themselves and who are they selling to primarily? And where do we fit in, in that landscape? It's kind of fun too, because, it's kind of exciting to have a product that isn't positioned yet. We don't really, I think at this point, we don't really know where this fits. And so we kind of get to think about that. And this isn't something we didn't really know. We didn't really think about this too much. I think when we first launched Honeybadger, again, it was kind of just we obviously know what this is. We're basically copying something else that we can do better. And we already know that there's customers of that would buy this basically. So we didn't do any kind of positioning exercise where we figure out okay, where are we going to fit in this market and do all the the big product things that people do today. So I'm kind of looking forward to figuring that out. And I guess that is part of the how we what will the copy be and stuff. Yeah. So I don't know if you've thought about that at all, Star.
I haven't spent a ton of time thinking about it. The thing that I want to compare Hook Relay possible positioning to maybe, I'm interested in comparing it to Heroku, because they do very different things, obviously, right? It's not a competitor type thing. But Heroku came in and it's okay, well, you've got web hosting, you've got all this stuff exists already, but we're going to take that and it's we're going to be okay, we're going to add ease of deployment to web hosting. We're going to add, scalability. We're going to add, it's basically you have this thing, web hosting, that people already do. They already know how to do. And then Heroku essentially came on and added these very simple, you press a button and you add this to web hosting and you get this to web hosting and you add this to web hosting. So my initial thinking on this is that Hook Relay is kind of like that with webhooks, right? You have your webhook, it exists, you know how to do it, it's fine. But then you have this push button system where, okay, add reliability to your webhooks, add, maintainability to your webhooks, because you don't have to go into your app and edit code when Slack updates their payload format, right? You just change JMES path thing, you just change that. You just log in, you change that around, and there you go. It seemed like each of these features that we talked about is like this sort of push button, sort of power up to webhooks as a concept.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really like that. I hadn't thought about it that way, but that's pretty
me either. Yeah, we'll have to expound on that or whatever.
Yeah, and then, another problem that we faced almost from the beginning when we had early alpha customers come in and say, oh, that's great, but can it do this? And started pushing the product in different directions. And we came to realize pretty quickly that while we had seen it primarily as an outbound use case, right, sending webhooks from Honeybadger to a variety of things, some other people saw it as primarily an inbound thing where they're handling a bunch of inbound webhooks and want to do stuff with that. And that was interesting. And as we work through that, like that changed the complexity of the homepage, right? Just the sales side. Okay, now you got to talk to two different use cases, right? And then in the past week, as Josh and I have been having a discussion in Basecamp, we've actually come up with a third area, which is a higher level thing than just sending webhooks. It's connecting services, both inbound and outbound, like being an actual relay, like the name implies, right? So it's going to be interesting to come up with not just with the positioning, but also okay, now these use cases and how that plays into positioning.
Yeah, because it's difficult to it's hard to sell a Swiss Army knife.
That's it's like what I was thinking ever. It's like Swiss Army knife.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you get it for the knife part, right? And then you discover all the other tools of varying usefulness.
Like, but I got this knife, but it also has tweezers. Right on. I love tweezers.
Yeah, exactly. We'll just hire that super shaming guy.
I mean, I have to admit, like a product that really embraced the Swiss Army knife thing and sold itself. Maybe it's even like the metaphor is a Swiss Army knife. On the homepage, you've got like a literal Swiss Army knife. I mean, it's cute, but at the same time, I don't think I would ever buy that product. So it goes back to the thing, you really have to figure out some kind of concept to fit into the user's head that clicks. And I don't know, at least I don't know. I don't think I would buy a product that said I'm a literal. I mean, I guess New Relic is kind of like a Swiss Army knife of monitoring, and that's the very reason I don't like it, and in the past. So I guess that's a good example.
Well, but again, think of Heroku, because you have they are kind of a Swiss Army knife. I mean, some of their weird tools are provided by third parties in their Heroku marketplace. Yeah. But it's just menus of things, and you just click, okay, I want this database. I want these add-ons to do Redis or Memcached or whatever.
That's a good point.
But it doesn't feel like it's diluted, because they have their core product, which is the hosting, and then the other stuff is sort of it's sort of add-ons to that.
It's like power-ups.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because Heroku, you're totally right. Heroku is kind of like that, but at the same time, Heroku has when they first came around, they had some of the greatest positioning. I loved their positioning, and still do. It's easy mode for app deployments, git push, and you've deployed your app. So it's the best of both worlds. They're dead simple, it's relatable. But then when you get into it, it's wow, this is powerful. I can just push a button, and it, git push for my web app, I can add whatever, Redis, or Postgres or whatever, or monitoring, Honeybadger, or Hook Relay.
I'm wondering if the reason it doesn't feel like a Swiss Army knife is that you have to pay for every button you press.
Yeah.
Well, just out of curiosity's sake, I was thinking about the Swiss Army knife thing. I'm I wonder how their homepage pitches the Swiss Army knife, because you've got all these use cases, right? So I loaded it up just now, and I went to the website, and the funny thing is the actual Swiss Army knife is nowhere on the page. If you go to swissarmy.com, you can't see a Swiss Army knife. Right now, at least, the headline is something about barbecuing, and then they have their backpack, and they have their kitchen utensils. And then you get down, you keep scrolling down, then you finally actually see a Swiss Army knife next to a watch. They're
still in the Swiss Army lifestyle.
Totally.
That's genius, Ben. We should definitely do some sort of this would be a great positioning research exercise.
Totally.
How do you sell a Swiss Army knife?
Right.
And then apply that to SaaS or software products.
Yep.
I would buy that ebook.
You should write that ebook.
Maybe I will.
Yeah, so it'll be fun to see what the Hook Relay homepage ends up looking like. Maybe we'll have backpacks and kitchen utensils, and
there you go.
Yeah,
people can add a photo like them with Hook Relay, using it in their lifestyle.
Well, yeah, totally. That makes me think of Kathy Sierra. And, her thing was, it's not about the product, right? It's about your customer. It's about making your customer badass, right?
Yeah.
And
you just had the book. You just pulled that book right up. Josh.
I'm showing the book for people who are listening. I have the book sitting on my desk. It's Badass, Making Users Awesome by Kathy Sierra. And I highly recommend it. It's a badass book. It will make you more badass, but it will also make your users more badass. I've been revisiting it through this week for our onboarding, just to remind myself how to go through this. Yeah.
But one of the things that made me key into that idea, with Star's comment, was also I'm still looking at this Swiss Army homepage, and that hero image is an individual who is slicing through barbecue. He's preparing that. I'm so it's not even about the knife. It's about what he can do with the knife, right?
Yeah.
Is he using the knife to slice through some barbecue?
He's making a really good looking barbecue, right? And so the knife.
That's not a Swiss Army knife.
Well, I think they sell a lot. They sell cutlery as well.
It's a Victorinox branded.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. I've got Victorinox knives in my kitchen. They're actually the best budget knife.
Yeah, they're great.
They're made out of stainless steel. Yeah. So if your family who never takes care of nice kitchen things wants to use them, they can't destroy them accidentally. So this is why I may have backed off of buying $200 kitchen knives at one point, because I just knew somebody was going to leave it in the sink and it was going to rust, and I was just going to get upset.
Right. So I think the challenge will be if we and we love that approach. We love Kathy Sierra. We love that whole idea. So how do we communicate that on our homepage? It's not about relaying webhooks per se. It's about what you can accomplish in your development workflow by having this service that's handling all that for you.
Yep. It's all about what you can do.
Or we can just throw up a picture of a guy cutting up barbecue and call it a day.
Yeah.
Oh, how about this? How about this for positioning? It's a series of tubes. Hook Relay, a series of tubes.
I love it. Can we get a picture of Al Gore, with a testimonial?
Yeah, I think
these are the best tubes on the tubes.
There you go. Well, this guy has a really big beard on the Victorinox site. I guess they market to people with beards. You should check it out, Josh.
This is obviously made for me. Yeah.
Oh, there's a recipe for barbecue sauce on here? I gotta check this out. Yeah. There's butter in their barbecue sauce? I'm sorry. I have a Southerners deep conviction about
Star loves
sauce.
Barbecue, so I think we've lost her.
I don't even eat barbecue that much. I just have very strong opinions about barbecue sauce. There's a great barbecue place down the street for me, and they put cumin in their barbecue sauce, and I lost it. I just don't understand that. Anyway.
Yeah.
FounderQuest next episode, we argue the merits of barbecue sauce ingredients.
I will talk.
We'll do the barbecue sauce episode. Okay, Star.
Yeah. Okay. You can tell I'm hungry because everything comes back to food.
Yeah.
But I can talk for an hour about my strongly held food opinions if you want, but nobody wants to hear it.
For Hook Relay, thinking about what can people do? What does it what does it give you as the user that makes you think makes it click and be I'm awesome. This makes me feel really good with what I'm able to accomplish here. It goes back to the Stripe user experience. I would love to be Stripe. I would love people to see me as a super reliable, awesome service that just it's a joy to use. And the praise that people give Stripe for their developer experience, I would love to have that praise for my own products. And that's kind of what we're selling. I think that's kind of what we're selling with Hook Relay, is the ability to be that good, basically.
It's sort of like bottled excellence that you can buy and sprinkle on your apps and your products.
Mm-hmm. Does it taste like barbecue sauce?
It better not have cumin in it.
I think of bottled excellence, that's got to taste like barbecue sauce.
Yeah.
I don't know. What would I'm thinking more of a beverage, more of something that tastes kind of like honeysuckle for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Maybe vanilla maple syrup.
There you go.
Well, it must be time to eat.
There's our positioning. It's hook relay vanilla maple syrup for your technical team. Just slather it all over them.
I love it.
We can always have some swag. We can have some barbecue sauce swag or something.
There you go.
Be good.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
Barbecue swag. Oh man. That's a good business idea somebody should start up, is to have some like branded barbecue sauce that people can order.
For sure.
I'm sure. I don't know. I'd be surprised if one of the swag fulfillment companies out there isn't doing something like that.
There's got to be.
It's
probably crappy.
It won't be good.
It's probably no good. Yeah. All right. Well, it seems like we're losing steam here. Should we wrap it up?
Yeah, let's wrap it.
All right. Well, this has been FounderQuest. Thank you for joining us for our rambling discussion with actually pretty, like, some interesting points in there. Like it was not all fluff. There's some real good, some nuggets in there. If you want to write for us for Honeybadger, go to honeybadger.io/blog and check out the Write for Us page, read the whole thing, and email me with, following the incredibly detailed instructions, and you can write for us. And give us some reviews. Apple Podcasts, FounderQuest, something like that. Just go ahead and do that.
People are reviewing us, so
I don't know. I haven't checked in a long time. Yeah, you should. What? Why am I even saying this then? Maybe I should just cut it out. I'm just annoying people. I just feel like I can't end a podcast without begging for reviews. I feel like it's something that's expected these days.
We have good reviews. I'm just saying, we don't have as many reviews as we have listeners. I know that. So step it up. That's true. Step it up, people.
Well, if I don't ask for reviews, then I'm going to have to feel like this is a real podcast some other way by shilling Casper mattresses.
We'll have to get advertisers or something.
Or Audible.
Good. So
let me tell you about a book I listened to on Audible the other day.
It's Badass by Kathy Sierra.
Badass by Kathy Sierra.
All right.
All right. See y'all later. Have a good one.
FounderQuest is a weekly podcast by the founders of Honeybadger. Zero instrumentation, 360-degree coverage of errors, outages, and service degradations for your web apps. If you have a web app, you need it. Available at honeybadger.io. Want more from the founders? Go to FounderQuestPodcast.com. That's one word, where you can access our huge back catalog of episodes. FounderQuest is available on iTunes, Spotify, and other purveyors of fine podcasts. We'll see you next week.